Hey guys, welcome to the boss fight Fallen Archbishop Andreus. Let's get right into it with this amazing cutscene. Fallen Archbishop Andreus is one of the major bosses in Lies of P. He's unskippable, so he's not optional. You do have to fight them. They are founded in the Bishop of St. Frangelico Cathedral. It is the end boss of this area. A little bit of lore based off the area that everyone in this cathedral has either been afflicted or they died with the disease. You're going to see that disease come along here in the fight. As you are getting hit, it does build up that decay there, which would be translated to the disease. Archbishop was a greedy person, and there was that level of delusion that came with the affliction. And actually, what Archbishop did was they gave into that delusion, where they decided that they were an angel chosen from God. The Fallen Archbishop is also very weak against fire, so if you have any fire-based weapons, it would definitely be recommended to use it. Based off the last boss fight, you should have the Flameberg handpiece that I would recommend using. I didn't use it. I used the Falcon Eyes instead, just because I do like having that little bit of a ranged attack, but it would have been recommended to use the Flame Burge instead. And then if you have anything to give flame, such as something like the item you received from the prior boss, perhaps, that could be super beneficial as well. You can summon on this boss as well, and I do highly recommend doing so. One thing to note though is as of the recent patch, this boss's HP was decreased, so it was much more difficult prior to me fighting it. I did fight it post-patch, which did make the boss fight a lot easier. If you did it on patch 1.1 or 1.0, whatever it may be, congratulations, because it was so much harder than what it was now. It probably took me about 10 attempts to get this boss down. Some people call it the first major wall of Lies of P, where they might have to go do some farming to get a few more levels to be able to actually fight this boss well. There are a bunch of different attacks that the Fallen Archbishop Andreus can do, and we're going to try and go through them as quickly as possible. So they do a Claw Strike and a Sweep combo. They also do a Claw Strike and a Swipe combo. It's like a triple combo. They can do these things singularly as well, but generally you see them one after the other, which make them actually pretty easy to be parried, only because the moves are generally followed, like I said, one after the other. You can also see a backhand swipe. You can see a double claw lunge, where the Archbishop will actually screech and then raise up both arms to slam down in front of them. This will always be followed up with a swipe with the left claw. You can also see things like a leg stomp and a body slam that are within their fury, which is whenever they glow red. You can also see a tongue whip, which can cause decay. There is a combo where they will attack first and then do the tongue whip from left to right. You can also see a double claw swipe, a stab, and a drag. Then we go into the second phase where we are going to actually watch the cutscene before going into it. This boss fight has a lot of cutscenes and they are so epic. I love watching them and I hope you enjoy it too. Within the second phase of this fight, they do have a few more abilities. The first one is just a regular old stab, where the Archbishop actually uses its scepter to do so. They also strike their staff on the floor and drag it, dealing any damage across the drug area. They may do a swipe with their wing, either right or left, a regular old slash with their staff or a strike, and lastly, they will do a scepter AoE move where they stick it into the ground and release a blue wave of AoE energy. I would highly recommend running out of the area effect, and what I've actually learned from this boss fight is that it also hits from the butt as well. So try to make sure that you roll out of that one. Everything else can be pretty easily parried or dodged depending on your play style, but I did have a tough time actually getting this boss staggered just because he's such a heavy boss, right? So you can use whatever weapon you want here, but obviously it's going to be recommended using something with fire because they are weak to fire. I ended up actually using the etiquette for a lot of the fight, which is one of the boss weapons from earlier in the game that you can receive prior to this fight. And then I would use the grindstone with the flame to actually give it fire-based damage. I do wish that maybe I used a fire-based weapon so that way it wasn't just for a short period of time and instead I would have it throughout the whole fight. But that is what I went with. Also, like as mentioned, you should go with the Flameberg as your arm, but I still chosen to use the Falcon Eyes there. I would recommend also using some items like the Fire Abrasive or the Thermite for some throwable damage. It does do pretty considerable damage, seeing as the boss is weak to fire. The first phase is relatively simple. Once you learn the patterns, you can go ahead and fight the boss and beat it and get to the second phase. Not an issue at all. But whenever we do get to the second phase, I do recommend basically just lighting this boss's butt on fire. You get behind the boss so you're not dealing with a different set of attacks for the most part other than the Scepter AoE, and go ahead and just poking it in the butt like any other Dark Souls boss you've ever basically seen that is gigantic. If you do these methods, it should be a relatively easy boss fight, even with the nerf and with the summons. You should be able to make quick work of it once you kind of learn these patterns. It'll be easy peasy, no problem at all. When you do beat this boss, the item that you will receive is the Twisted Angel's Ergo, which can be traded in back for some an item or a talisman, whatever you so choose, or if you want to, you can crack it for 5,000 Ergo. I wouldn't recommend doing that because 5,000 Ergo doesn't get you too much further whenever you're at this level, and at this point, it might be able to get you a level at most, maybe 2 with the amount of Ergo drop from the boss itself. You also received this super cool cutscene. Like I said, it was filled with awesome cutscenes, this boss fight. I actually absolutely love this boss fight. So why don't we sit back, relax, and enjoy this cutscene. And thank you again for watching. I am Brula Games, and we will see you next time. Bye now.
The stage is set.